This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
And then you lose out on the Hall of Fame game, which, big picture for the general fan, the game means nothing. It's a fifth preseason game. It's the most meaningless preseason game out of all of them. The more important part is the ceremonies, actually, right? And so you lost out on the game. You lost out on the ceremonies. You have now lost out on the you've lost out also on all these mini camps, right? Like I said, and now they shaved the preseason down from 4 games to 2, supposedly. It's not final yet. Now there's some reports that some of the players, they say audio in and out. What's going on? Is it all right, or what's the deal?
It's just the Ethernet.
Okay, all right. So they. Now some of the players are saying no preseason. And I got to tell you, this is where it becomes a really hairy situation. And this can create all kinds of problems now for the NFL. Okay, first of all, guys aren't going to be in the kind of shape they need to play football. And if you don't have preseasons, if you don't have any preseason games, they're already limited in preseasons. Your stars aren't really playing anymore in preseason games. Can you imagine now with COVID? You're really not going to be playing almost anyone outside of the draft picks and free agents and things like that are new players and new to your system that you got to kind of acclimate. And that's what these mini camps are really good for. It's the mental reps that you keep going over and over. So that way, when the regular season rolls around, you're already comfortable and you're not thinking about it. Well, guess what's going to happen now? Because there's a good some of you out there, you don't want to live in reality. And if you don't want to live in reality, this is definitely not the radio show you want to listen to. I'm sorry, okay? If you want to paint the picture that the Dolphins are going to win every, 12 years, and you called me 5 years ago and I told you, hey, they're going to suck. And 10 years ago, hey, they're going to suck. And you didn't want to live in that reality, I'm sorry. I can't help you. And the reality is, I keep telling you guys that football is going to be the one sport that is going to have a problem getting off the ground because all the contact, so many players. How do you control all of them? How do you control each one of their environments they go back to at home? You can't. It's impossible. That's why I told you that the NBA is one of the few that gives us a little hope because they're in a bubble. So if somehow or another you can keep everybody healthy and stay in the bubble, then you'll be fine. There's other issues with that, and we'll address that later on the program. But if you look at what's going on with the NFL, slowly but surely, we're losing the season. It's just starting the early part of it. And you can't really push it back because then you push it more in the winter, and that becomes an even bigger risk for your football team, for your players. I mean, Rudy Gobert still can't taste months later. Von Miller still has some breathing issues. Don't know if you know that. But, I mean, this isn't the cold like some people want to keep comparing it to. You know what I mean? We were quarantined for 2 to 3 months in this country, and look where the pandemic is now. It tells you how contagious this thing is. We crossed 51,000 cases yesterday. I mean, the number just keeps getting higher. Like 660 yesterday. 700 and something the day before.
I think it was 667 exactly.
Yeah, it went a little lower, but again, it's still fluctuating right around that 600-700 range. You know what I mean? And again, hospitalizations are going to then affect. It doesn't have to always be the death rate. If you have this people are getting really sick and they're going to hospitals and then they're taking a bed. Like some guy yesterday was telling me, well, Houston's at 97%. They were at 95 last year and at this time. And I go to him, do you understand that you're helping me in my argument? I'm trying to tell you that's how fragile the hospital system is, that we can't have a major breakthrough because then it's going to overflow all the hospitals. And in Houston, clearly, they can't handle an exploding situation. That's why they're now at 97. You get it? We're not there yet. We're not at any of those levels, and hopefully we don't get there. But our cases are increasing. With case increases, it's hospitals. Then it's affecting older people. Then it's death. It's a cycle. And we're in that cycle now from everything that's gone on the last few weeks after opening and protest and rallies and all that. Now the effect rate is going up. The question is, the people affected, how many older people did they affect? Because then that will affect the death rate even more. And so these are all the things we're going to figure out. To football, they're in the middle of all of this. And their players are going back into these populations that are dealing with COVID. So they're going to bring it back to the facility. I mean, this is, I really worry about football. And the players still have to sign off on all the protocols to make sure they're healthy. They still have to sign off. Even though the NFL could force the 2-game issue, they've got to sign off on it. And maybe they want to negotiate, hey, no preseason. So the other part of all of this is, if you have no mini camps and you have no preseason, do you know how sloppy the football is going to be? The entire year, pretty much. Because you have not had any time to acclimate your rookies. Virtually doesn't do a damn thing, dude. Okay? It's a lot harder to do it in real time when you've got people on the other side of the football stopping you. And you haven't done it yet. And now you have to think about getting through that person and running whatever play you're supposed to run and be at the spot you're supposed to be, block the person you're supposed to block, whatever it is you're supposed to do, whatever your responsibility is. If you have not done it all season and now you're going to do it in a game-like situation, holy crap. If you have not tackled anybody since last year and you're going to start tackling in week 1 of the season, holy crap. Okay? I mean, it's really, you think about it, we are headed for a really ugly and sloppy NFL season is what we're headed for. That's the only way to look at it. That's if we have one. Okay? That's if we have one, is the question. We have no idea if we're going to have an NFL football season. And slowly but surely, it's chewing out the season. And football is the kind of sport that needs the damn mini camps, that needs the preseason. Not because of the hitting, because we all know they're trying to protect the players, but because of all the mental reps that you get throughout that. I mean, all these teams that drafted young quarterbacks, it's a wasted offseason for them. They're going to get nothing out of their young quarterbacks, and they're not going to play any of them. Why would you? You set them up to, I mean, it's tough enough to be a young quarterback in the NFL with an entire offseason that you played all the mini camps, you didn't hold out or anything, you had all your training camp reps, you had all your preseason reps, you're still not ready for the NFL. You will still look like you're out of place. Can you imagine a young quarterback now with absolutely no offseason? It's a wasted year for them. They're better off just going through the motions and watching the starter prepare and take notes and get whatever reps they can during the season. I told you yesterday, COVID has screwed the Marlins more than any other team practically because you eliminated their minor league year, and they need that because that's what they are. And then their major league year, they got so many young guys that half of them probably belong in the minors. But those guys all needed 162 games of experience. Just experience. They weren't going anywhere. They're not going to win anything. But the experience that they all lost now sets the entire franchise back. Sure, the Dodgers' problem is they made a move for Mookie Betts, and you have to milk it for this 1 year because he's a free agent. That's a whole different ballgame. And Mookie Betts, or any established veteran, if he doesn't play this year and comes back next year, Mike Trout's not going to miss a damn thing. You'll still get Mike Trout next year. But you, as a franchise, now have to wait another year to assess all the players you have because you still don't know who's who. Here, same thing, man. You don't know what your guard is like. I mean, the Dolphins drafted a whole bunch of linemen, dude. They're not going to find out about any of those guys till the season starts because you're probably going to eliminate the preseason. Think about it. We're less than 4 weeks away from training camp, and COVID is exploding now again in this country. We have the highest number of positive tests that we've had the entire time. Okay? 51,000, dude.
Single day record.
Okay, so it's just like, it's crazy to think that we've got those kind of numbers and it's not going to affect what we do. Come on, man. You know, and I heard Tom Garfinkel say, oh, well, we're still hopeful with fans. I mean, you can say that, but come on. Again, you know, look at the pace we're on. How can we be hopeful of that at all? It's just, it's sad, man. It's depressing because the reality is it's getting closer and closer to the reality that football may be one of those sports that you just cannot play this year unless you can bubble them, and there's no way you're going to bubble all those people. You cannot bubble all the players and the coaches and the trainers and it's so many people. And it just entails so much work to get a football game going week in and week out that it's just it's too much. And right now, this pandemic might be too much for football to continue.